Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another historical humans heritage. And today we are going to the Pacific Ocean. We're going to be talking about Taputapuatea, a French island in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah. Well, technically, Taputapuatea isn't the island. It is, in fact,
Oh,
the
correct.
historic. It's in fact the historic center. A series of mare complexes on the island. The island is
Right.
Raiatea Island,
Yep. Right. There.
which is located in basically the Central Pacific. It is one of the last places on Earth that humans ever settle. Um, which better late than never.
Yeah, I mean, 1,000 years ago, so that's pretty late to the game. But to
Yeah,
be fair, the island is in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, it is at the center of the Polynesian Triangle, or as it's also known, most of the Pacific Ocean. This is a very remote location, and the mare of Tapu Tapuatea, which is what gives it its World Heritage listing. They are an exceptional example of the local indigenous culture, the Maori civilization. These are sort of um, a series of political, funerary, and religious buildings. It's effectively a spiritual and political center for the culture. The Mare themselves are said to be places where the land of the living and the land of the gods and the spirits intersect. So, an incredibly sacred place. And this one in particular, I believe, uh, is exceptional because I believe it is an intersect. I believe they mentioned in the UNESCO article that it was an intersection of a couple of different chiefdoms, I believe.
Yeah, so it's a location that a bunch of groups came and served as a political ceremony and religious center. So it
Yeah.
became this melding pot of a lot of different groups, which is kind of interesting. The image I actually had on screen here is the remains of it, or at least an aerial photo of it, of the two outlines of the buildings that were present.
Yes. Yeah. And this area, I have found the section I was looking to reference in the text. At the very least, it was the heart of essentially a political alliance. Tapu Tapuatea was the center which chieftains from all these other Polynesian tribes would come to gather for um, political and spiritual ceremonies, for alliances. This is, after all, at the heart of the Polynesian Triangle, which means that it is relatively the shortest sail for a lot of people, or for the most people to get together. So it is a big sort of gathering uh, ground. It's a massive center because of that, and because it's such a cultural crossroads for Polynesia, it becomes a truly exceptional example of that culture. Since all the islands are invested in this place, not just the people of Raiatea.
It's very fascinating because archaeological evidence have shown evidence for their religious beliefs. I mean, they found idols on the island that are absolutely fascinating. But just for this to be that central meeting area, this central place for groups to come together, and the fact that it's only been 1,000 years, like to have that kind of intricate social and societal network, to have that level of ocean-faring skills, it shows how complex the group was.
Yeah. You want an even better example of that? So the
Sure.
reason why so many of the images we have here on the UNESCO Heritage List for Tapu Tapuatea, the reason why there so many of them are for just these seemingly pristine wilderness shots of vegetation. Most of those plants aren't indigenous to this island. a lot of the vegetation has actually been brought over by the tribes that would meet here as indigenous plants from their islands that were then planted uh, on this island of Raiatea.
Wow.
Some of them were brought over for food. Others were just brought over because this is the plant of my island. Therefore, I shall plant it at my, particular part of the spiritual landscape here on this, sort of, UN of Polynesia island, and just the plants spread. So
That's
it's
very
the
interesting.
land itself is a testament to this alliance, to this cultural phenomenon.
But I mean, what a beautiful, beautiful set of
Yeah.
islands. What a beautiful area. I mean, the pictures of the water. I mean, you could see the images that show the landscape. I didn't know that about the plants. I do find that actually
It's,
very interesting.
yeah. Yeah, it is rather unfortunate in my opinion that it only gets mentioned in like the last like sentence or two of UNESCO's write up for why this place is so important. Don't get me wrong, the rest of it focuses very much on going through all the different cultures and subcultures and islands and things and all the civilization based reasons as to why it's important, and then also just, oh yeah, and all the plants here are representatives of the are effectively representatives of their home islands. It's just, wow, we sent a delegation of plants. That's the best flex I've ever seen.
Honestly, though, it really is. And when we talk about, like, I don't know. It, uh, yeah, there's a lot that could be said about that. I mean, the cultural traditions, the practices, the
Yeah.
sharing. But
It's
also, I find it kind of interesting, too, not to segue too far away from that, but talking about the protections on the islands.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
This is technically a part of France. France doesn't officially hold colonies, but they do hold official overseas parts of their territory.
Yeah.
And this area is under a law in the French Polynesian area that has it fully protected since 1952. And then they added a committee to help management of the property in 2012, and they adopted a new management plan in 2015.
Yeah, yeah. The I believe most of the island at this point is a zone de site protégé, which is just an area of protected zone. you know,
Oh, the
or
French.
an area of protected sites. I mean, it's a. I mean, look, it's 2,100 hectares itself with a 3,300 hectare buffer zone. That's basically the entire island.
Yeah. But
Which, given that all the plants on the islands are effectively invasive species imported as representatives of their of their home culture islands, kind of makes sense. It's literally an island full of sacred trees.
it's nice to actually see something be protected. And the thing I also find kind of interesting is the site was protected, inscripted with UNESCO in 2017. So it's a
Yeah,
fairly recent addition to the list.
yeah,
So props for finding a good site.
yeah. This is a very important one to get on there, especially given how remote and thus easily overlooked it could be. I mean,
But I think that's a good point for us to wrap up. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to drop a like down below and to subscribe so you don't miss out.